Hi there, welcome back to the video. This is going to be the part 3 in my EMR on EC2 for beginners. The first part I covered a very basic hello world, how to write a PySpark job and write Parquet files on S3 or object store using EMR. We submitted that job as a step, right? The second part we covered how you can use Iceberg on EMR EC2 and submit the job as a step, and in that we also covered a little bit about spot instances. Third part I want to cover about bootstrapping in EMR, what it is and how you can use it, right? So in a very simple language, let's say on your EMR job, let's say you need a library called Fake or any other external library. Of course, when you SSH into the SSH into the master and then say pip3 install, great. But now when you productionalize it, right, when you're submitting job as a step to the cluster, right, you don't want every time SSH and probably do that, right? So bootstrapping allows you to run a particular shell scripts during the cluster initialization, right? Once the cluster is initialized, it will run those bootstrapping commands, right? For example, hey, install Faker or install Pyre or whatever that is, right? That is what bootstrapping is, and we're gonna learn with a very simple hands-on lab. All right, so yeah, labs, right? So cool. So again, this is the same shell script that we have been using it for probably a couple of labs, right? This is part number 3, right? So what we are covering is the bootstrapping, right? So here you can see name, install dependencies, path. This is the path to the shell file locally on my machine, right? If I open up that, again, very simple shell job, installs PyArrow and Faker, and then basically prints their version and says bootstrapping script complete. So once the cluster is started, it's gonna run this bootstrap script on that so that your required packages and dependencies are installed. And if you observe, so in order to use this, we have to first copy a bootstrap.shell file, which is on my local machine on S3. So for that, we use AWS S3 CP command. This will copy my local bootstrapping shell job on S3. And then when we create an EMR cluster, we can provide that particular path, such as bootstrap action, and then the path to the shell file which sits on S3. And again, the best way to do anything is to try out, right? So I'm gonna create this cluster for you. I'm gonna show you the logs later on, right? So chmod +x /create ls -l, okay? And now I'm gonna run this particular shell job. So /create.shell. So observe, we uploaded the script on S3, and now it has created an EC2 machine with P4B8. That's the cluster ID. Once the cluster is in the ready state, I'll SSH and I'll show you the logs that it actually worked. So right now, if I go to my EMR console, I can see a job that's in the starting state, right? And if I click here, if I click to bootstrap action, here you can see that shell file, right? So now I'm gonna wait, and once the cluster is in the started state, I'm gonna SSH and then show you the logs that it actually works. So pausing the video right here. I just wanted to quickly show you, right? As you can see in the status now, I can see bootstrapping, running bootstrapping action, right? So which means it's running that particular shell file, right? So I'll just pause it again, let the cluster be in the waiting state, and then I will show you the log. So hopefully you guys can see that the bootstrapping script worked fine. So meanwhile that bootstrapping script is running, I will try to SSH into the cluster. So I'm gonna first say AWS EMR describe cluster. This is the public DNS name that I can use to SSH into my EMR cluster. And now I'm gonna SSH into that with my PEM file. As you can see, I'm in, right? Rock and roll, right? So now, again, since this is still running, I'm gonna give it a shot to see if it works. So the logs, the bootstrapping logs are inside var logs, bootstrap action, and then here you can check out std out logs, right? Again, maybe it's still a little early, but I'm gonna give it a try. So I'm gonna do cat, and if you see, observe carefully, I think it's clearly visible. Let me show you here. Bootstrapping script complete successfully. And if I go to my shell script locally, I have this echo command, right? Which means the script was able to execute, and now I have PyArrow and Faker installed. So now if I start the Python interpreter by Python 3 from Faker, import Faker, and you can see the import worked fine, right? So I hope you have enjoyed. I hope the concept of bootstrapping was made easy to you. Again, I would say, again, to learn it better, try it out. The labs are there. Create a Spot instance, SSH into it, run a bootstrap script on that. That's the best way to learn anything. Hope you enjoyed. This is lab number 3. I'll leave the resources in the description, so check it out. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section and I'll be very happy to assist you. With that being said, keep smiling, keep programming, and I will see you next time. And also, terminate your cluster, otherwise there will be a cost to the labs, right? So make sure to terminate these clusters.